Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. It is July the 1st and we welcome the month of July. It's hot. The air conditioner is blowing right now and I hope you do not hear too much background noise. Anyway, I'm holding some Pepsi here, and the reason I do that every time I hit 1,000 subscribers, and we did that just a few days ago. I was about one subscriber away from 7,000 and then I lost 4. That happens. People come and they go. What can you say? But I always tend to gain a net higher amount than I actually lose through people just leaving the channel. But that's good. We hit, I think it's 7,018 right at this moment. But anyway, I'm going to begin a series on the color checker passport from Rite and show you the basic usage and how you apply it to be able to then arrive at the most correct color rendition from the original scene to image as you see it on your monitor. And there are many parameters that have to sort of mesh together for you to be able to reach this so-called photo nirvana condition. So here is the color checker itself. What we do, we're not going to concentrate on these at the moment. Primarily we're going to go ahead and use this half of it. This is the one that you will photograph with your camera. And again, it is specific to the camera sensor, and the lens, the glass. Those 3 items will impart a bias to that image. The sensor cannot reproduce all of these colors. Impossible. Some sensors are really excellent and they may come close, but not quite perfect. So this is where the profiling of the camera and lens comes into play. So we will use camera raw. We will shoot as close as we can without any blocking or casting shadows on it. You will have your subject, or you will prop this wherever you are shooting. Make sure that the angle of the surface of the color checker is about the same as where you're going to be shooting from in relationship to the light source. It could be sunlight, it could be overcast, whatever. But make sure that it sort of matches the same angular direction that you will be shooting from. So you will go click, and that will produce, of course, a camera raw file for my Nikon. I will then open that up in Photoshop. We'll start with Photoshop. And again, I'm going to show you how to do this on the computer in subsequent videos. Although there are a lot of excellent ones out there from Rite themselves and some other private folks that have created videos on this, I'm going to go ahead and create my own, and I hope that you enjoy these. Anyway, so you go click, you load the image into Photoshop. It will open up, of course, in your raw converter. And there you're going to set a white point and a black point, and I'll show you how to do that. And then you're going to click on one of these to set your color balance with the little eyedropper. So you will choose one of these middle grays. These are the most accurate ones that will work to make sure that everything is color balanced properly. So this will work just like the original grayscale used to work. Okay, the grayscale goes back to the olden days of film, and especially when we got into darkroom color printing, it was very important. So I usually click on this one or this one, and that's all I need to do. Then I will, on the bottom of my raw converter, I will export that image as a DNG. Okay, it has to be a DNG, and I believe that that option is one of the few that are there. So export it as a DNG. You have set your white point, you have set your black point, and you have color balanced the file. Now that you have that DNG, you will open up your color checker passport software. And by the way, the older version that came with the unit does not work with Windows 10. You have to download the newest update. I was getting some errors with it. But anyway, you open it up, and then the software will actually auto-locate each one of these little patches. I should leave this open. It will auto-locate and create little crops around each one of these squares. It will then analyze each one of those squares and figure out how they differ from the original. Okay, and they will differ. And so then it creates a profile with adjustments, individual adjustments, not global adjustments, but actually individual adjustments to bring those values as close as possible to the original ColorChecker card. Of course, when you view that on your computer, you better have a calibrated monitor. Otherwise, it's just going to be futile. It's going to be off again because the monitor is not properly calibrated. So you will be calibrating your monitor, then you will calibrate your camera, you will load that image onto the software. It will self-locate those little squares and it will then create a profile. That profile will be loaded into your raw converter. For Photoshop, I believe it's up to 8 point something now, maybe higher. I don't keep track of that. I just update. So then you will then open one of your images that you shot during that shoot, and you could apply that profile to it, and you will magically see colors being brought from out of gamut condition to a condition that actually matches what the original color was. And so let's go ahead and make a comparison. That's a little bit confusing, but wait till you see it on video and then you will be able to tell that it's actually quite simple. This is really stiff. It was hardly ever used. All right, I'm going to pop this right here. Hopefully I can balance it as good as we can here. Let's move our Pepsi out of the way. Oh, don't knock the ink over, Joe. All right, so I have two prints that I made of the actual ColorChecker, and these were printed on the Pro 1 OEM ink. At first glance, they look identical, don't they? No, they do not. I want you to take a close look, and we'll orient these in the correct orientation to the actual ColorChecker. Now, this is the one printed with no profile. I just printed the DNG directly in Photoshop using the correct ICC profile for semi-gloss Canon paper for the Pro 1. And this is what we got. And it matches pretty well, doesn't it? It certainly does. Until you see the one with the profile applied. This is profiled. And this is where the differences come in. Now, depending on how good your sensor is, your differences may be very minor. If you have a cheaper sensor on one of those point and shoot cameras, you may see some really great differences in rendition. And of course, remember, this is being printed. What you really need to do is look at this on the monitor itself. That's where you will see the biggest difference in rendition. Look at the difference between this orange and this orange. Deep, bright orange, deep, bright orange. Dull, dull orange. By itself, this sensor cannot reproduce that particular orange. Now let's look at these two blues. So we have here profile and not profile. 1, 2, 3 shades, 1, 2, 3 shades. But this is the way it's supposed to look. So as you can see, this is bringing in, look at the difference between this magenta and that magenta. Very, very dull, very bright, beautiful. So again, colors that, for example, people complain quite often about not being able to print certain blues and purples. They tend to come out as a totally different shade of that region of the spectrum. This is what you need to do to kind of coalesce, bring everything together. So video is not a good media to show you this. I'm going to do the work actually on the computer screen, and then you will be able to see the differences in how it applies. Also, have a look at the no profile. It's a little bit kind of cold tonality wise, whereas the profiled one is correct, neutral grays. Again, video will not be able to show you what I am seeing. Brighter, more cleaner. Here's a little bit sort of contaminated by other colors. Same thing here. Same thing here. Definitely here. Not so much here. Not so much here. This is just a little bit deeper on the profile one than on the non-profile one. The orange, oh yeah, the orange is quite a difference. Kind of light, dull, bright, deep. and that matches that. What you're trying to do is create an image that matches, after profiling, this control, and this is your master control. Okay, none of the other shades in that scene where you were shooting, doing your shoot, matter at this point. This is your main control. This is your master control. So if you can reproduce these colors correctly, you will be able to reproduce all of the other colors just as well, just as correctly. In fact, it'll be a lot easier because these colors are very, very intense and taxing to the camera sensor. Camera sensors have a very hard time reproducing those particular colors. So that's why they are being used. All right, that is basically it. Once you have nailed that down, you can then go ahead and do your shoot and then open up all of those images at once and select them all and apply that camera profile to that set of images. If you switch lenses, you have to do that color checker shot again. Okay, you have to make sure you do that because there's going to be some different nuances that the lens itself will impart to the image. Okay, some lenses are a tiny little bit warmer, some lenses are a tiny little bit cooler, some lenses are perfectly neutral, and it's just the glass itself, the coating between all of the glass elements, all of that imparts a tiny amount of color shift, let's just say. And if you're really super picky, you need to take that into consideration. All right, that is it. Next video I will show you on this series. I will be doing other videos, different subject matter. But in this series, I will go back to the computer and take you through the steps that you need to do to be able to create a profile in Photoshop. And then I'll show you how to do it in Lightroom. And it's so much easier in Lightroom. You will be amazed how easy it is. And I prefer to actually use this system in Lightroom rather than Photoshop. All right, that is it. Thank you once again for all of the support, all of the subscribership. It's awesome. Thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like as always. And as I always say, happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.